Okay, let us take a look at what will be trending in web development in 2025. I have 5 things to talk about. The first one is about artificial intelligence. I personally do not believe that artificial intelligence will be as exciting to developers as it was when it was first released. So artificial intelligence will no longer be exciting to developers. There is no denying that artificial intelligence has made a huge impact to the creation of videos, images, and stories. But for us developers, the progression of artificial intelligence into programming seems to have slowed to a crawl. For all the hype of handing over our jobs to non-human developers where applications are built using bug-free code, we are left with nothing more than a glorified Clippy that occasionally provides half-sensible code snippets. ChatGPT 3 was a huge leap into the future, but the rate of progression since then has slowed. The feeling of breaking new frontiers on each revision of ChatGPT has stagnated. AI will certainly continue to improve, but the impact on how web developers, or just developers in general, build applications will hardly be seen. Developers will be plugging existing AI engines into web applications and altering page responses based on the output of AI results. A developer's job won't be at risk let me read that again. Developers will be plugging existing AI engines into web applications and altering page responses based on the output of AI results. A developer's job won't be at risk as many once thought, and a developer will be able to harness the power of AI to filter documentation and be offered code assistance when needed, but nothing more. Artificial intelligence for developers has hit a feature ceiling, and websites built with AI will still need a human developer to improve, test, and fix it. So let's pull this apart, shall we? So there is no denying that artificial intelligence has made a huge impact to the creation of videos, images, and stories. Yes, that is perfectly true, right? So we have got interesting, fascinating AI generation of videos, scary videos actually, where it's showing people saying things that they didn't even say or acting in a way that they didn't even act. We have videos that are generating films there, or movies or TV. We've got images that are being created of fantastic landscapes and all sorts of weird creations coming out of people's minds, or coming out of the AI mind, to be fair. And also writing stories and being able to summarize long, boring documents. AI can do all of that. It's fantastic. In fact, I've been using Grok a lot with the X Premium, Twitter Premium, to summarize certain parts of some of the articles that I've been writing. So, you know, this is my thoughts, summarize it, that kind of stuff, which has been really good. I mean, I haven't been copying and pasting the responses from Grok, but it's been great to actually kind of guide me into certain ideas that I didn't have, and maybe learn. And I've been using it to learn a lot. So reading documentation, summarizing the documentation for me. Excuse me. So we had this massive hype train, right? And everyone was saying, oh, you know, developers, we're all going to lose our jobs because Deno's out, and because there's things now that can write code for us, and we just have to ask a chatbot to build us a website and it'll do it. And yeah, I must admit, for the first part, that was a little bit terrifying, and it was like, oh, great. Especially when the contracting market was so quiet. And I could see this on the horizon. I could see, like, oh, my job's now going to be taken over. That was my first reaction. But then really, when I started thinking about all of the stuff that I had worked on in the past, it was all upgrades or migrations, or adding new features to an existing site, or rebuilding something that other developers had worked on, or doing all sorts of interesting projects like ecom and fintech, and where it was very nuanced, and you really needed to understand the business logic, the expectations and the requirements, the specification and the project history. And I'm sorry, but AI can't do it. It can't do it all. It can't do all of it. There is not going to be, in my knowledge, there hasn't been any company that I've ever worked for where they've gone, we'll get AI to do this, or they've shared sensitive documentation that they would share to human developers to AI. They wouldn't do it. So yeah, I'm sorry, but this is just pure and utter BS. So the handing over our jobs to developers, no. What may happen is that people will learn using AI, and this is a double-edged sword, because you can either rely upon AI with the responses coming back and then not really learn what AI has given you. That's not good. Or you can actually use AI as a means of summarizing and discovery. And if you can do that, then that, you're harnessing the power of another teaching aid, which is great. So it's going to probably affect juniors than it will seniors, in my opinion. And then when I say developers will be plugging existing AI engines into web applications and altering page responses based on the output of AI results, I mean that there's going to be companies that have been developed that have these AI engines that offer some form of public access or private access, where we can hook in using, say, APIs to return a series of results that the website then displays to the user, and it will be very personalized. But the actual AI engine will be one of these things that will probably be either off the shelf or open source. The developer of the website itself probably won't be building that. They'll be taking that solution that has already been made in a generic manner and then tailoring it for the client. That's probably how things are going to be. So a developer's job won't be at risk anymore, as many once thought, and the developer will be able to harness the power of AI to filter documentation and be offered code assistance when needed, but nothing more. So in terms of code assistance, yes, I do see all of these things being added to, Copilot, and we got VS Code extensions and all of that jazz, and chatbots that can produce React bits and pieces. But really, in terms of customizing that, tailoring it to the client's needs, there's still going to need to be a human developer to do that. And again, as I mentioned, in order to allow a non-human developer to build a feature for a client, the non-human developer needs to understand the context of the requirements of the specifications that the clients have. And that requires a lot of intelligence that needs to be handed over, some IP as well, that needs to be handed over to the non-human developer, the AI engine. And I just haven't seen that with clients. They're not giving over their roadmaps to these AI developers. So artificial intelligence for developers has hit a feature ceiling, in my opinion, and websites built using AI will still need a human developer to improve and test and fix it. So yeah, I don't think we're going to see anything massive in the developer space. We're certainly going to see things in the consumer space with AI, but in terms of developers, I think that we've hit we've hit the feature ceiling. So yeah, okay, AI can perhaps analyze our code and make it look better and maybe more efficient and all of that stuff. But in terms of worrying about user requirements, I don't think we're worried. We're there yet, and I don't think we will be. The next one, consumers will demand voice search. So voice search is the thing that I reckon is going to happen, or one of the things that I reckon is going to happen in 2025. A voice search. We saw a bunch of this coming through in 2024, 2023, but I think now, especially with the move of electric vehicles, where we can ask Siri whilst driving, I send text messages through voice chat whilst driving. That's awesome. And it's usually like I'm coming home, or I've just arrived, or parking up, that kind of stuff, right? But in terms of searching for things as well, I'm not saying we should do that whilst driving, of course. that's just dangerous. But in terms of searching, voice search is definitely going to be the new kid on the block, I feel, especially with all of these IoT devices that are currently floating about in everybody's bedrooms and rooms, where we can literally talk to some AI and just say, ask any kind of question, or search for specific products. So instead of, and I think this is going to be more conversational. So instead of saying something like, here are the results, and I've sent these to your mobile phone, they can actually have a conversation with you, where you can actually respond back to the AI. And essentially what you're doing is you're using a chatbot in the background, but it's voice, and it can understand your voice, and it can analyze websites and process the content in natural language. And I think that's going to be awesome. So let's read this. So where number 2, if a website has a search bar and can be accessed on a mobile or IoT device, the users of that website will start to expect voice search. Website content will require optimizing for natural language, and the rise of voice search may require additional tools or even improved HTML tags and attributes. In the same way a website can be optimized for page readers, a website will be tailored for voice output. The search bar will also need to interpret incoming voice requests and translate them into actual queries in real time. So I think this is going to be so big that we're going to actually change the way we write our websites. So our content now becomes more optimized for some voice to read the content that we've got on the website, and also read, say, the alt tags of images. I think this is going to certainly improve accessibility, and I think that searching a website is the idea of searching a website using text will become searching a website using voice, will become as straightforward as searching a website through text. I feel where we see the microphone symbol on search bars, that's going to be standard. And it's just going to be expected that you can go onto a website on Chrome or Safari and basically talk to it. And it will return a voice back with your results and filter the website based on your results. And I think that we probably need to alter the way in which the HTML is that, maybe we need some more HTML tags to say that this part of the content is what the voice can actually talk and read, whilst this content is not voice search optimized. Maybe something a bit like that. Maybe where there's going to be some JavaScript frameworks or libraries involved in this. I hope, though, it's going to be mostly on the HTML side of things. But this is, I think, going to be one of the biggest things coming in 2025 in a bigger way than it currently is, and that is voice search. The third prediction is that no code and low code will create more jobs for coders. So the rise in no-code and low-code platforms has enabled applications to be generated with ease, which is great for people with big ideas but small budgets. The three problems an application will face when it relies on the foundations of code or no-code solutions is scalability, customization, and extensibility. At scale, the no-code or low-code platform may start to become quite costly, because usually there is like a subscription or some form of buy-in where it gets more expensive the more traffic it receives. The platform will have set boundaries, and the application will be forced to fit within the defined walls of its ecosystem. This may make it difficult to utilize and interact with third-party systems. So these low-code and no-code solutions, they're often an ecosystem where you can, communicate to certain tools and whatnot. Some have their own marketplace where you can say, oh, I want to interact with that API, or I want to interact with this thing. And they give you a way of doing it. But it's when you want to go beyond those boundaries and maybe communicate to something completely different, maybe an open source piece of information, maybe an API in the third party, in the open source space. When it gets to that point, things can get a bit difficult in terms of the boundaries that you're working within, the confines that you're in. Of course, these issues only become apparent when the application reaches a certain scale or requires a feature that can only be found outside of the platform. Sometimes these are never concerns of the application, and it can work happily within the platform. It's when the application outgrows the no-code or low-code platform that coders are asked to migrate or improve upon these foundations. This will generate jobs for coders and web agencies who hire freelancers and contractors. So this is throwing no shade on the low-code stuff, right? I love it. I love the fact that we are enabling people to build things without having high levels of technical knowledge. I think that is wonderful. I think that's fantastic, and it's certainly driving a market in that space. However, those solutions can only go so far, and when it gets to a point where you've reached scale or you need to come out of the boundaries of those platforms, it's at that point when us coders get asked to step up and migrate the content and the code from these low-code solutions into something completely different. And actually, it was not this year, but last year, 2023 and 2022, and also 2021, I was been working heavily on migrations, where we were migrating things from not low-code solutions, but just migrating things from framework A to framework B, or moving data from one database to another database, or something like that. So this isn't just for low-code and no-code platforms. The idea of contractors working within the migration space isn't anything new at all. But the low-code, no-code solutions are something that I think will drive work to us coders. And I think that's fantastic. That's great. And I'm all here for it. Okay, number 4, chatbots will become the new search bar. These annoying chatbot pop-ups that offer you help by pretending to be a human will eventually evolve into the next revision of the humble search bar. Customers will be treating search queries in the same manner as interacting with a chatbot. Search results will be tailored to the given requests, and additional advice or guidance will be offered as the user interacts with the search bar. So, usually, the search bar is, I'm going to search for something, right? So for example, I'm searching for a job. I want to search for PHP jobs. But actually, these the traditional searches where you might have a bunch of options that you tick. I want this to be a remote job. I want this to be a contracting job. They're still going to be there, but I think in the future they're going to change to be more of a conversational piece, and this goes together very well with the voice search as well. So if this could be voice search as well, that would be cool. But it's going to be more of I'm looking for this job and it needs to be remote and it needs to be this long and it needs to be in this industry. And I think that it's going to be more of a conversation. And I think the results are going to be far more personalized to the person, which leads me on to the next thing, the last one, which is artificial intelligence will personalize the web. Websites will become more personalized based on captured user history, and content will be recommended and tailored to the user based on artificial intelligence insights. The more a person uses a website, the more personalized it will become. This behavior will be similar to how social media sites offer content to their users based on previous engagements. This will have a huge impact to e-commerce platforms who can tailor shopping experiences to the individual users based on previous or similar consumer behavior. Off-the-shelf AI recommendation engines will be created for the purpose of offering tailored results and user interactions. Developers will be able to plug in these engines into existing websites using APIs. Some developers will also be working to build and improve these engines, and some engines will become open source. Okay, so let's pull this apart a little bit. So a website will become more personalized and based on the captured user history and its content. The content will be recommended to the user based on the history and the previous engagements that user has had. This means that the user engagements are going to be probably pushed into some form of AI engine, and the AI engine is going to come back with the various parts of content that can be recommended to the user. And the more you use your application, the more customized and personalized the website will be. So for example, let's take howtocodewell.net for example. You may not care about Linux, you may not care about Docker, you may want to just focus on PHP. And if my website knew that, then it wouldn't offer you Linux Bash for beginners or the Docker for beginners course. You may not even be interested in the podcast, so it wouldn't show you the podcast, it would show you something else instead. If it knows that perhaps you've purchased the PHP courses and perhaps you've watched the Laravel tutorials, then it will be giving you those more than all the other bits. And occasionally it will offer you the podcast to see whether or not you're interested in that, or if there is a podcast that it is aware of that has some form of content that is related to the content that you've previously engaged with, then that will be offered to you. But it's not going to be just a linear, here is, from episode 1 to 10, and then the next page, 11 to 20. It won't be like that. It'll be more personalized and tailored to you. Think of the Netflix homepage, think of the YouTube homepage, where the content that is given to you is based upon your previous user experiences. And I think this is going to happen to so many websites. So many websites are now going to be very different to different users based on the way in which they use the sites, the way in which they engage with the sites. And I think that we're seeing these on the big sites at the moment, but I think 2025 we're going to see recommendations engines coming online where the sites are going to be more tailored towards the user experience. And I think this is just going to be an epic epic part of e-commerce, because imagine being on a website which you go to frequently. So for example, I play a lot of Warhammer, right? So I paint Warhammer models. There are certain armies that I don't care about, right? And there are certain things that I do care about. So when I'm on the Games Workshop website or the Warhammer website, if they could show me the stuff that I'm more interested in and show me less of the stuff that I'm not interested in, I'm all for that. Think of Amazon as well. Maybe with the Amazon, it's offering you products that other people who have perhaps had similar shopping baskets to you have also bought, or someone has purchased this product before and they've also bought this other additional thing. So perhaps you're more likely to purchase that. Again, this is already happening, but for the bigger sites, the Amazons of the world, the Netflixes of the world. But I think now we're going to see something happening for the smaller sites. And I think, again, this is going to drive more work for developers, contractors, freelancers, because these open source or maybe private solutions of these recommendation engines are going to come online. And the AI, where everyone says AI, this is built with AI, this is just going to be the thing. This is just going to be normal. now. So people, I think, are going to require voice search. Chatbots are going to be a distant memory, and they're just going to become they're going to evolve. The search bar is just going to evolve into chat, and the content of a website is going to be more personalized. So web development in 2025 can be summed up in one word, and that is search. The way users interact with websites will change as artificial intelligence solutions will be packaged into plug-and-play engines that developers can use to tailor search results and website behavior. Chatbots will seamlessly merge into search bars that utilize voice search, and websites will become more personalized. Low and no-code solutions will continue to play a major part in application development, and in some cases, this will drive more work for developers. That is my 2025 set of predictions.